competition.
Oh, really?
He likes it.
Yeah, it's nearly fully finished. He's like gone right out.
Does he know he can't win?
Wow.
Well,
We'd have to put his name down as Smatrick Smarker.
Well, where does it say that he can't win?
Okay, yeah, nice goal.
Hey,
I haven't seen Aaron's terms and
judging it.
conditions. If he wants to keep his job for another week.
Give my kid the eggs I paid for.
I said to Parker, I don't think you can actually enter, mate, because, you know, our family owns the business. Yeah. He's like, why though, Dad? I'm still a kid and I'm still colouring it in. I'm like, yeah, fair enough. Can't argue with that logic.
I don't understand what you mean by conflict of interest, Dad.
Take him to court.
He's like, you're not judging it. I'm like, that's another fair point. I'm not. So, okay, you've got me there as well.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Okay, recording. All right, guys, welcome back to the Property Pod, your weekly engagement into the real estate industry here in Hobart, Tasmania. I'm your host, Aaron Horn, and I'm joined by our 414 Property Co. real estate agents. Had to take a breath there. Yep. Patrick Berry and John McGregor.
Breath was worth it because it came through nice and clear.
Excited to be back.
Excited to be back, yes. Apologies to all our loyal listeners out there. We got so close to recording last week, and then I've just got to admit that I had I was going to say panic attack, but it wasn't a panic attack. I got vertigo.
Yeah. Well, it looked like a panic attack, I suppose.
It felt somewhat likely.
I was here in the room when you were watching you just go down. Like, it was just strange.
Yeah, I thought I was going to faint. Everything was spinning, and I'm still only just kind of coming through the throes of it now. And I've had Sebastian, my other employee, as my personal driver all week, and he's been dropping me home and doing.
The only bit I don't understand is though, why are you sitting in the back seat every day now? You're like chauffeuring you around. Like, just because you're sick, you can still sit up the front, mate.
I've been giving him star reviews. I think conversation today. 4.
It's called Jeeves.
Last week we were in the studio as the vertigo hit, and so anyone out there that's experienced it, and if I wasn't sympathetic to your spiralling world, I felt you now, and it is rough.
Man, that's weird.
So
didn't you say it's just like you're constantly off balance?
Oh yeah, it's kind of like seasickness it's all this inner ear stuff. But the very first throes of it was literally, I thought I was going to faint, and we're in not the biggest room here, but the whole room was spinning, and it's basically your brain trying to correct an inner ear kind of misbalance.
Well, super pumped you're able to push through this week, and we're glad to have you back.
It's good to be back. Exactly. It's good to be back. I know that in my absence, you guys were kind of I thought actually there might be a secret episode that came out without me.
Nah, we were excited to. We got other stuff to do.
We're out of here.
Yeah, we talked shit for 20 minutes and then left. Everyone else thought we'd done the podcast because we were gone for so long, but we didn't.
We didn't.
We didn't know how to hit record.
Yeah. Your dad came in before and was looking. He's like, man, there's a lot of things for you to control here.
Yes, there are. Welcome to the command center.
Don't touch.
You guys were listening to a hack article, or you were driving home and you've texted out and said, this is quite interesting.
Yeah, it was last week. It was going to be our topic last week because it happened on the Tuesday night. They had an article about house buying for young people on Hack, which obviously sparked my interest straight away.
Definitely.
So I sat in the car and waited for the episode to finish because I'd got home and I was like, we have a radio inside, but got to go find it and turn it on. So
it's funny because when like a good song's on, you'll do that thing like, I'm going to sit in the car and wait.
Yeah, I'll do a lap.
John doesn't like to sit still.
I'll just keep driving.
Fair enough. Yeah. Keep going.
Yeah, and they we're talking about how different softwares have come into the market to help you buy a home on a bidding process. So as most people would know, the Australian marketplace is quite busy at the moment and most people are sort of fighting each other to secure a home.
Yep.
And so all these different softwares have popped up and we thought it'd be a good thing to talk about this week.
Yeah, because this is right in your wheelhouse. Like you're kind of the king of the app, the king of any technology that will...
I am, but at the same time, I don't know if it's something that would work relatively well in the Hobart market because we don't have the volume of people. But I could see it working very well on the mainland and why it's become very popular.
When you guys were talking about it before, just as I was listening in and setting up the studio, it kind of came across as like, this sounds like your Melbourne auction kind of Saturday morning. This is something you'd want to be all over. Whereas here, I guess it's getting way busier here with people trying to
It's like everything. In a couple of years' time, it'll be something that'll probably be second nature here as well. But like everything, Hobart's just a little bit slower than the rest of the country to sort of do things.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, it is too with the introduction of them. It's a fundamentally different way of purchasing property too. So it means that whether or not the buyers are going to be excited to engage in that process And also too, for us, it is a different way of working. So, it is, a bit challenging as well.
To break it down, can you kind of go into what some of these apps or what these kind of options are?
Definitely. So there's three major players at the moment that appear to be sort of running the space. And they are, John, one was Open Negotiation.
Yep.
And
Market Buy.
And what was the third one?
Rezo was the one.
Rezo was the one on Triple J.
Yeah,
That's one I always forget about.
We were starting with that one, actually, considering it was the catalyst for all of it.
So I think Rezo, looking here, is real estate sales online. They've got a kind of a blue and green logo. Looks kind of fancy. It's almost like a little Wi-Fi logo picture in there for anyone. I could probably pop it up on screen if I really wanted to be fancy. But it says an online offer acceptance and contract management system, allowing agents and buyers to communicate online.
Yeah, so one thing I really liked about this one and a way I could see it potentially working is especially here in Hobart, out of the three that we're going to talk about today, this is the one where I think would fit our marketplace the best at the moment. Because at the moment we're doing a lot of multiple offers on properties, but we're doing them at an individual level. So we're going out, meeting a client, writing up an offer, and then we'll go to the other buyer and we end up with a situation where we can't disclose to the other buyer what each offer is, but we need to make sure they're aware that they need to put their best foot forward. And
so that's a legal issue that you guys come across where it's kind of like a confidentiality.
A bit of confidentiality, bit of code of conduct.
We thrashed this out for a while, didn't we? Because in our once you get a license, you're agreeing to a code of conduct through the
the REOT.
Property Agents Board.
Property Agents Board.
There you go, those ones.
So in that, there's a specific that says we will not disclose the terms of other offers. But then it's not expressly written into the Act, but it's just against our professional real estate code.
So it's a difficult one because
it's a Patrick Dangerfield kind of situation.
Yeah, exactly.
So against our code, we could risk of losing our license because we're against our code, but technically it's not illegal versus the Act.
And it's difficult because we're engaged by the vendor, so we've got to get the best possible price for them. But, when we can't tell one buyer the other buyer's offer, it's a grey zone. It's a really difficult one. But I guess coming back to this software, that's where something like this might potentially work really well. So what this software allows an agent to do is they send out the offer form to whoever's interested, say after the open home, say there's 5 people that want to make an offer.
Yep.
They send it out. Everyone gets to put into the offer form their terms of their contract, what their price is, if it's subject to finance, building and so on. And then after those offers come back, the agent has the ability to rate those offers. So they can say, rightio, John, you're number 1, Aaron, you're number 2, I'm 3, and so on.
Yep.
And when they rate them, the buyer then gets notified, rightio, you're a 4 out of 5 stars or you're a 2 out of 5. And this goes on 3 times. So you've got 3 opportunities based on the rating review that you get back if you want to choose to make changes to your offer to improve its position.
Okay, yeah, sure.
So say you get a 5-star rating back, clearly that's indicated that you're the best offer, so you don't really have to do anything. But say round 2 goes out and then you get a rating back and you've dropped from 5 to 4, that's an indicator that someone has come in and made a stronger offer.
Yep.
Do you want to make a change to yours? So it's a way of sort of giving the buyer a bit of clarity, I guess, as to how their offer is situated without actually disclosing any information about the offer.
Yeah, I guess that's a really interesting one because you'll often put it in and you think, oh, yeah, I've hit the nail on the head here. I'm sitting pretty. I hope the agent's kind of letting me know that I'm in the ballpark.
Yeah.
I guess this is a way of knowing it without kind of crossing the code of conduct line
So from an agent perspective, I think it's really clever because it gives transparency and allows people to better understand how their offer is positioned.
Yes.
However, the way Hackwood is talking about it on their show the other day, they were saying it's actually putting added pressure on buyers to potentially pay more for a property that they may not necessarily have to because they get caught up in the bidding war or in the excitement of trying to win a property. So
I can kind of see that side of it as well. Like, I guess it's the same as the reason you'd run an auction is that kind of creates that exact scenario, but live and in person, and you're kind of probably making impulse like, oh, this is my maximum, I'm going to not go beyond it. And then you might be like, oh, well, let's reach beyond our means that way. I can kind of see that may do that. Like, it's like on eBay, you kind of wait for that last 2 minutes and then like there used to be that sniping software, I don't know if it's still around, where you could kind of put it up by 1 cent after the 1 second to go to make sure your bid was the one that won. But yeah, maybe there's this online kind of like, oh, we had the best one now, we want to push it to the next level and add another 10 grand. It's an interesting idea.
Yeah, so it's crazy to think that like developers have come up with these ideas, and like I think they've been made with good intentions, but they could be used.
There's always Well, and that was
someone will always take advantage, I guess, of anything.
And that's I think where there's always a non-disclosure of price. There's always, well, are they telling the truth?
Yeah.
And that's where the auction process from a estate agent's perspective is the most transparent. It's like, what do I need to pay more than that person?
Yeah.
It's like that's where it is. And I think there was a comment that one of this gentleman, Michael, like a couple of different advocacy groups, I suppose, he'd mentioned that their concern would be that, because again, you can't see all the information, it could be used badly. But then the CEO of that company said, well, no, everything gets tracked, so it can be audited should it ever be questioned. So it's, well, okay, imagine we're 3 buyers and we're like, well, what did it go? It's like, well, did he just fake my rating to make me pay more, or was he being honest? So, but the CEO saying, well, if ever it was challenged, well, they could produce the information and then they could clearly audit to show whether or not that advice was true and correct and fair.
Yeah, so they've got a transparency kind of clause that they're kind of operating at the back end.
It happened once for me. We got challenged in a scenario of a multiple offer situation, 2 years later. But I was able to show that, look, here's the 3 contracts that were actually there. Here's the acknowledgement where they all acknowledged and said that this was their best and final offer. And here's the changes that they'd made. So we could clearly have a paper trail to show, look, I did exactly what we said we would. We gave them all the similar opportunity, and then it was quashed. So I guess it would sort of be no different than that.
I might be asking the wrong question here, but is there a correct way of presenting offers to a vendor? Like, is it? I know some people will be like, "Oh, we had the open home the Saturday. We'll be doing this on the Sunday evening at this time." Or
personally, I don't think so. Every agent has a different tactic, and it comes down to their own strategy that they work out with their owner as to how they want offers to be presented.
And I think you said it there. It's so important to remember with the owner, because we can't make decisions. We can only provide opportunities for both parties, and then the owner makes the final call.
Yeah, no, it's just one of those things where I know I've seen different ways of going about it, and you often hear, I'll be presenting the offers at this time. Make sure your best offer's in at this time. So that's a strategy to kind of be like, you've got this long to think about it. That's correct. You've got, and that's dotting your I's.
It's interesting. We've had a local agent recently be kicked out of the industry for deception of contract. So it can, if you do the wrong thing, like there is, serious ramifications if you get caught out. So it's sort of that thing again where, provided on the integrity of the agent, is whole and soul. And I'm all for, if someone's doing the wrong thing, kick them out. And that's why I suppose for us in our business, we've got that specific process. But you can choose with the owner how you want it to do. Sometimes the owner might just want to make a call right in that moment and give no one else the opportunity. Sometimes we'll say, look, we're going to have a close off at 5 p.m. on Monday, with the idea the owner make a decision on Tuesday to allow everyone the flexibility, time to chat with the solicitor, time to chat with us. But each scenario is completely different.
So say this Rezo company, this would kind of be, you discuss that prior to the when you're organising the sole agency agreement,
exactly.
etc. And you'd say like, oh, well, let's do the offers through this thingo. We'll set a time.
I haven't personally used it yet myself, but now knowing the software exists, it's something now that's in the back of my mind. And I'm thinking, rightio, well, if the next house I get that I know is priced really well, and I know that it's got a strong marketing package and it's going to get that strong interest, I'm probably actually am going to suggest a platform like that.
Yes.
Because I feel that it's going to help streamline the process and provide sort of everyone an opportunity. So I don't think it's something that you would set up on every single property on day one, but it might be something that you're on the first open home and it all of a sudden has way more interest than you anticipate. And then you go back to the office Saturday afternoon and you activate it there and then turn it on, send it out to everyone, because you can see, rightio, we're going to end up with 2 or 3 offers here at a minimum. Let's go use this software. So
absolutely.
I don't think it's something that you would sell to everyone. It would more come down to the individual property.
Which again is kind of most properties you'll try and create a marketing package that will be like, this is the way we're going to sell your property. This is the approach we're going to take. So I guess it's another tool.
Well, and the other thing is too, is if you introduce something that the buyers have never seen before, there's that automatic sense of, oh my God, it's a little bit nervous. What is this? I don't really feel comfortable. So even that's a delicate process of, well, you've got to educate them into this is how it's going to be.
Yep.
So they can have
I
confidence.
think tech companies are getting pretty good at that though these days. Most people are pretty comfortable opening up an app and working through the flow of the questions.
That's true.
Like even just something simple like in our office, we have an offer form that John and I use, and it's just a Google questionnaire form. And we just flick that out via SMS or email. And I've never had anyone ring me up and say, I can't fill it out. It's too confusing.
Yeah.
And it allows us to get all the information we need to be able to draw up a contract without any problems. And I guess this is an evolvement of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
To a degree. So
absolutely.
Look, I think it's really cool. There were two others that we were going to chat about. How are we going for time, Az? Because that one went way longer than anticipated.
These ones are a little bit shorter. So, the first one we'll talk about is on the other end of the scale, which is it's still a private treaty situation. So when we say private treaty, just not auction.
Yes.
Now, open negotiation has it so you open up the property advertisement, and then it'll just say the current bidding is at. And so it'll be...
Oh, so this is more your eBay style.
So, yeah.
So you don't even have to register your details. It just says, hey, the current offer is at $451. And then that's it. And so you can jump on, create an account and go next.
So you'll already know the price. I was just going to say my brain immediately went to people trolling and being like, I'll offer 1.1 million for this thing. And then
I think, you still have to be vetted, don't you? So they still have to confirm a phone number and an email via a secondary code. And
you'd have to,
ensure that it's a live person, not
legitimate. Not just going absolutely nuts.
Yeah. Someone in Russia wants to buy my house.
You could create like another Reddit house street bets, and just go nuts on these properties.
Like the GameStop kind of thing, like buying short. Yes, I was only listening to a podcast. I was listening to the Entourage podcast where they break down episodes of that, but they had the Wolf of Wall Street on there.
Oh, really?
Jordan Belfort, because he's mates with the guy who made Entourage. And I was just like, how am I listening to this? And then it turned into they were talking about shorting stocks, and I was just like, I was trying to listen to find out what Vince and Turtle were up to.
Now I'm learning about GameStop.
Well, there's a rabbit hole for you.
Oh yeah.
So that's open negotiation. So then obviously there's a time frame at which it can be shut off, or I suppose in all these the owner still has control about when it stops.
Yep.
But with that one, I think it's more so, okay, we've got a 2-week campaign. Here's the advertising price. Here's all the information. Come and view, and you can just make a bid straight through that platform. But with that, like we said, transparent price. So it's just 600, 610, 620.
Yeah, so that's when you mentioned this one. This is when I thought about your kind of code of conduct stuff we were talking about before. Yeah. How does that fall into?
So the next one that's interesting is market buy, because I remember speaking with this guy a couple of years ago, and he spent some time with the REIT actually, because they were very interested in bringing it to Tasmania, but they knew that there's a very different expectation in the market. So because of our code.
Sorry. So the code where you're not disclosing prices is only a Tasmanian.
Well, I think
part
we
of the
know,
code, or is it across Australia?
Look, we don't know all the states.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're not that clever, Aaron. No, we're just two guys from Glenorchy, mate. We're not experts. Come on.
All I was
yeah. So, but the thing is that he knew in order to get the support, they go through the institutes.
Yep.
So and then because obviously the institute's going to sit there and go, hey, this is great for the industry, let's do it. But obviously that's a good stopgap to go, hey, well, if we're going to make it work, let's, make sure it's all through, up to scope with the Act, the code and everything. So that's why he went through that channel. With Market Buy, it's a little bit different, because you'll still, let's just say we list a property and, you guys, I'll just be the agent in this scenario, and you both are interested in the property. Like, would you be interested in making an offer? Yes, I would. I'd send you a link for you to register. So you would create a Market Buy account. You'd illustrate the terms of your offer. It might be, subject to finance, subject to building.
Yeah.
And then you get an exclusive access to the bidding sheet of that property. So then you'll say you'll be given a number. So you're 1 and 2.
Yep.
And then then you can start bidding. So then you might be at 400, and then you'll be notified that the bidding has changed. And so you can log on, say, okay, it's now at 400, and then everyone can start to see the pricing, but it's exclusively to those who are bidding. So if you
so the main difference you're saying, John, between the two, open negotiation and market buy, is one's just on the public space, everyone can see it.
Yep.
The other one is sort of got a closed door. So unless you're invited into that room, you can't see what's going on.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was sort of then you still don't know who each other are. You don't know the other elements of the terms of the offer.
All that you know is what someone's prepared to pay.
Yeah. So that sort of then ends up in I've said it before, where at least the negotiation process is fair. So, you've got everyone's on the same playing field in that sense, and it's only exclusively just to the people interested. And then the bidding timeframes are open during certain hours. So it might be from 9 till 6, and then it closes off at night time, and then it reopens at 9. And then at any stage, the agent and the owner can stop the process and then have the capacity to call up these people and have a discussion one-on-one. So it's kind of like, if you've ever been to an auction, you'll actually see that happen where, real estate, if there's a multiple team and multiple buyers, they'll be walking around to everyone having conversations while it's active.
Yep.
So that works very much in the same way a transparent auction does, but online. So,
which I guess in this modern COVID age, like it's something, I know there was online auctions where we were watching a few back in the early days of COVID, and it's been like, man, look at the production values on these things.
They had such and such TV desks.
Cool.
Very cool.
So that was, sorry, just pause out.
It's all right. You want to respond to that message?
No, that was we might have had a friend of the pod this morning, but he didn't make it on time. So that I really quite liked that market buy. If it was going to be active, was probably probably the one that could have fit Tassie the closest.
Yeah.
But then obviously with Rezo, with that, then that becomes like a star rating, but you still don't see the prices. Whereas market buys straight up you see. So it sort of works in similar ways, but
slightly different at the same time.
Slightly different at the same time, yeah.
For some reason, I'm not bad-mouthing any company. For some reason, that last one that you think, I pictured somebody getting in there and just like doing fake bids and trolling it up to try and push.
Well, again, though, the agent has to give them access. So what we would do, I think
So
with
you'd
that one,
vet
you go, okay, we need to see your details.
It's probably not much different to how we vet an offer that comes in.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it's no different. You're exactly right.
Well, we have to take people on their word to a degree.
Yeah. No, it's just for some reason my brain jumped straight to I'd feel a bit stooged.
A little 13-year-old kid laughing his ass off in a back room. As he makes up the bids.
Well, and it is possible.
Well, and I guess the troublesome thing is once the bid's in, it would be
or like that crazy lady on the block that ended up winning one of the houses and then had no money. That was pretty bad.
And the thing is, though, is that's what we can get in trouble for if we just say, "Oh, look, we've got 2 offers on the property and there clearly isn't," and we can't show that there was. If we get audited later, we'll lose our license.
Yeah.
So that's again, I suppose, where it is a challenging for buyers who are like, oh, is the agent telling the truth? At least I suppose you could argue with those platforms is like, it's not me telling you, it's, this is actually happening.
Yeah.
Unless, an agent or the owner's in there, like under a false account.
Well, I was just thinking, I feel really, you know how they always use like John Citizen on all the credit cards and stuff? Yeah. Imagine if there was a real person out there called that. It's like, far out.
I'm so sick of this.
Sick of people always using my name. Poor guys trying to get a credit rating. They're like, you got 700 cards elsewhere, mate. Man. I can't give you one.
My favourite thing was, remember the old pencil cases where you could put the name in there? It always had John. So, because if you,
where you put the little letters in.
Yeah. And the cool thing was because they're
not old, you still can get them. Quinn got one on the weekends.
Oh, I might buy one.
Yeah, get you one, John.
Because I got the gold letters because the letters they provided were like red or grey, but because the front were gold, I was always the gold child.
Still are in your mum's opinion, aren't you?
And life has never got better since. But I think these technologies are really exciting. It's inevitable, I think, that they will start to become commonplace. And I suppose for us, it's just to be about vigilant, you'd say, about whether or not when to integrate it into our practice. Yeah.
No, look, it sounds very interesting. I think there's definitely scope for that moving forward. And, there's always technology that's kind of coming in, and it's just being on top of that and making sure we're, all aware of what's out there.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you for listening once again to the Property Pod. It's been a hoot to be back.
Absolutely.
And we'll be back next week with more.
Sweet. Cheers.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
See you guys.
Bye.